Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'm in conversation with Heike Hamann. Heike was born in Tanzania, East Africa, to German parents and lived in England, Papua New Guinea, and Germany before moving to Australia as a teenager. Heike is currently the custodian of a beautiful property in Tyagarah, I hope I'm pronouncing it well, in the Northern Rivers, just north of Byron Bay. Surrounded by nature and close to the ocean, and on 35-year-old community, she feels very grateful to be able to live there. She has been physically active her whole life, sailing, running, bushwalking, and paragliding, to name but a few. There are more, Heike, wow, of her sporting activities. And she has represented Australia as both a runner and a paragliding pilot. Heike works in a private practice as a psychotherapist. She is constantly astounded and amazed by the magic and deep transformation that happens when people's process are lovingly and attentively followed, and the depth of wisdom that each of us has is accessed. Heike graduated from the Process Work Institute in Portland, Oregon, with 2 process-oriented psychology masters. Heike was on the IAPOP, which is the International Association of Process-Oriented Psychology, board for 9 years, and was the chairperson for the Eco Village at Karambin Body Corporate for 7 years, supporting and guiding that community in its formative stages. Connection is important to Heike. Connection to the divine, to herself with capital H, and herself with a small h, to nature, to her partner, friends, family, and to community. These days, she loves having spaciousness in her life, which facilitates this connection. She loves growing her own food and also enjoys surfing, dancing, bike riding, and cooking. She loves sailing with humpback whales, so much so that she bought herself a boat late last year and has been living and sailing on it along the east coast of Australia and Tasmania for the last 12 months. The journey has been stunning in many ways, to her words, but I will let Heike tell us about it. I'll just tell you how I came to know Heike. We met many years ago in a process work convention, I think it was in Sydney, really many years ago. And then we met in a few more process, world work actually, conventions. And the love was there immediately. And when I saw on Facebook that Heike is actually spending lots of time on the water, I said, no, we need to talk now. This is becoming too serious. So here we are, Heike, and I'm so happy. I'm so looking forward to hear about your experience. And if you are watching on video, you can see that actually it's not just a story. Heike is really now on a boat. So can you tell us, please, before we start, where are you located right now?
Sure, Zahara, and thank you so much for inviting me here. It's so lovely to see you and to be able to share this with you and whoever ends up listening or watching. So right now I'm in Yamba, New South Wales, Iluka. I can actually show you, I don't move too fast, a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to go across the river. So I'm on the Clarence River. I hope that's visible.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. We've just had a big thunderstorm come through. So the timing is good. It wasn't a big thunderstorm, it was a little thunderstorm. And actually I thought, Sahar, would you like to have a quick look at the boat, like 1 minute before we jump in?
Actually happy to see whatever you want us to see.
I'm just going to show you. It's a little hard because I can't see what I'm showing you, but I'm just going to show you
if you're accompanied with words, because many people actually are not watching the video, okay?
So this is the, I'm just showing people, and I'll be quick because some people won't watch. This is what's called the saloon. Boats also have different words, but it's like the lounge room, and that's probably enough just to show you. It's a 40-foot catamaran, very spacious. It has like 3 cabins, double cabins, a kitchen, bathroom. It's a very lovely home. That's yeah.
And
That's a little
I have
introduction to
heard
the
from
boat.
our mutual friend Lane Aria that he had such a fantastic time with you. So
Yes,
I can only imagine. That's
it
beautiful.
was very special having him and his family on for a week, and we all had a beautiful time with the whales, which I'd love to share a little bit more about when we get into talking some more. Yeah, it's very special having them on board.
So Heike, in my head, I I had until I saw the picture of you on the boat, in the boat on the water. In my head, you were a process worker.
Mm-hmm.
And would you like to tell us a little bit about this part of your life, just about, and especially what actually drew you to do process work? And then I'm sure we are going to connect it to what you're doing right now, where you are right now.
Right. So what drew me to process work? Wow, it's such a deep question, Zahara. I think in essence, it was the first time I felt really seen. When I was first working with a process work therapist, the first time I was probably in my early 20s, the first time I felt really, truly, deeply seen by anyone. And then I went to some seminars, and I just had this feeling like I wanted to be like the teachers, like the facilitators. They seemed so well, so happy, so clear, such good communicators. And I just thought, I want to be like you. And whatever it takes to be like you, I'd like to do that. And back then, to become a diplomate, which I am now, was the 3 main parts of the study. One is the theory of becoming a psychotherapist. One is practice working with people. But the third part, which for me was the biggest part, and in the course is the biggest part, is the inner work. And it was really the inner work that drew me in, like a guided inner work. It's a little bit like a shamanic pathway. And that's really why I did it. I had no desire to become a therapist. I just wanted to be like these people who are coming out to teach us. And then when I actually started sitting with clients, which is of course part of the training, I thought, wow, this is like sacred work. And I really loved it and had a lot of beautiful feedback. And so actually I am working as a therapist now, but that wasn't why I got into process work in the first place. Yeah.
And can you tell people who don't know about process work what a diplomat is?
A diplomate, we call them, is really the highest level of training or certification. More recently, masters are being offered, masters of arts, but the diploma training is actually much, much, much more rigorous. It's because it is like this apprenticeship, and certainly back then, I don't know if it's the case now, I wasn't even able to start the program unless I had a nighttime dream that showed that I would actually finish it, because most people don't finish. And so I wasn't even able to enter the program until I had a nighttime dream that showed the way through what ended up being about 10 years of study, and that I would make it through to the end. So that's what a diplomate is. It's like a master's, but more.
And
Much more.
as we know, dreams many times come in symbol and not as a very clear story. Like, I'm going to promise you're going to finish. So this was open to your interpretation or other people's interpretation?
Both. So I worked on it in a session. Yeah.
Mm,
And big part is
beautiful.
having some of the who's in the dream, and yeah, there's many. It was both me and working on it in session.
And as I guess, or as I know a little bit about it, the importance of dream is because Annie Mindale was coming from Jungian psychology.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And Arnie, who died this year, we miss
Mhm.
him terribly. He died in June. Yeah, sending him much love. Yeah, just take a pause there. He talked about 3 levels of reality: consensus reality, dreamland reality and the essence level of reality, and all three are important. And so by having a dream that's in the dreamland level, it's supported. It's not just consensus reality, which is most of us, and it's very culturally specific, what most of us believe is real. So most people say it's two people who probably identify as women talking on Zoom, Sahara sitting on a chair with books in the background, Heike sitting on a boat with Yamba in the background. That's sort of the consensus reality level. But it was important to go deeper than that, and having a dream supports the yes to doing this at all levels, or certainly at the two levels, if not at the essence level as well. Yeah.
And is there a dance between between this reality and the consensus reality? Because the consensus reality is being taken in account, right?
Ask that again, Sahara. Is what? Is there a dance between?
Or what is the dance? I'm guessing there is a bridge between consensus reality and the deeper reality that is in the dream.
Dreamland reality and essence. Yes, so all three are present all the time, but we don't necessarily have awareness of all three. So and so if I'm working with someone or a couple, generally we'll start at the consensus reality level, and then find doorways into the dreaming or into the essence. And when I'm working with someone, they will show me, they don't know they're doing, but they'll show me how they want to work and what level they want to work at. So I'm following, because it's process-oriented psychology. My training is in following their process, including, so their process will show me how they want to work and whether they want to work at the dreamland level or the essence, or maybe both. But we'll generally start at consensus reality and then drop into one of the other two levels, and then come back up into consensus reality to integrate that into their more everyday normal life, whatever's come from the deeper, the other levels of reality. I love it. Very, very special.
I see. I see the look in your eyes when you talk about it. It says everything. Yeah. But for the people who don't see the look in your eyes, there's something that shows actually what you feel towards this. I know there's a lot to talk about process work. I'm really, maybe because of where I am today, I'm really interested if you can tell us a bit or in details about the pain and process work. Because I remember this is from the little experience that I had, but I have many friends who do process work, who are process workers. There is actually quite a lot of work with pain.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us a bit about it?
I can. And I just want to say, Sahara, I'm sorry, your listeners may not know, but you shared with me that you're in a lot of pain today. And I just want to say thank you again then for anyway talking with me and being here with me, giving me this opportunity to share this. Yes, so there are many ways. So we're just talking about the different levels of reality, consensus reality and dreamland and essence, but there are many ways to access the dreaming reality. One is through nighttime dreams, like what we spoke about. Another is through pain, and I'll come back to that. Another way is through relationship issues or accidents. They're all doorways, they're all ways that the dreaming reality is saying, knock, 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 I want you to pay, like I'm here, don't ignore me. And so pain is one way. Body symptoms is a very I guess direct way into dreamland, and it's actually how process work got born, because Arnie was first a Jungian analyst, and Jungians work a lot with dreams, but then he started noticing that people came in with body symptoms, and when he unfolded the body symptoms, he noticed there was always a similar process theme, I was going to say, but similar process to whatever the nighttime dreams had been. And that's actually how process work got born, where he realized that another way into the dreaming reality, body symptoms. So I can tell you a bit more about that if you like, but that's
I would love it, but would you mind just, I think before you were sitting a bit closer to the mic, we could hear you a little better.
Okay, is that better again?
I think you were on the other, a little bit on the other side as well, because it's something that's changed. Oh yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. You know what? I can actually put this on me. I've got a new mic for this.
Let's
If
see.
I put
Let's
it on
try
my
it. That's
put it
okay.
on my dress, it should then be good wherever I move. Is that sounding good?
That it sounds better. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Back
Yeah.
to pain.
Back to pain. Did you want to know a little bit more about how
Yes.
I would, yes, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Please.
um so I would ask you, for example, and I don't want to do a session with you, Zahara. It's not what I thought we were going to do, but just to go a little bit of a
No, we
intro.
won't.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
ask you like what your pain is, and maybe you can say just briefly what what your pain is.
Okay. Here we go. My pain. I'm laughing because when I had this podcast with the Lane Aria, which is our mutual friend, all of a
Yeah.
sudden we found ourselves deep into a process, and he said, this is what you intended? I said, no. He said, let's go. But okay, but this one will stay on the surface. I've got
Whisper.
pain in the joints of my hands.
Okay. And how do you experience that pain?
This is an interesting question. How do I experience the pain? It's there the whole time, regardless if I move the hand or not.
So it's
The interesting
constant.
thing, a very interesting thing which I notice is when I'm doing something which I love, and especially not especially with people, I forget about the pain, and I know it can be distraction, but I think it's more than distraction. It happened a few times. Like I had a concert with my students,
Yeah.
2 days ago, and I forgot about the pain, and I came up and said, "Oh, there is pain." And then there was another thing. I was invited to a birthday party. I had a little bit of pain, but really manageable. I came back home. Wow, big pain. So
Wow.
twice. This is what happened twice. Yeah, what I noticed twice.
Very interesting. And the actual pain itself, do you feel it? Or
Yeah.
do you have a visual of it? Or like just tell me a little bit about the experience of the pain.
I feel it. I feel it. It's
You
like
feel it.
it's a nagging pain. It's a pain that tells me you cannot ignore me. There's no way you're going to ignore me. I'm
Okay.
here and you'll
Mhm.
have to pay attention.
Okay. Beautiful, Zahar. I'm going to stop, so to speak, because otherwise we're going to dive right in. Um, just to
I'll
say,
book a session with you. I will book a session with you. Okay.
I'm not working right now because I'm on the ocean, but afterwards I'd love to. Yeah.
I'll wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd
If I
be
can.
great. So, so just in what you already said, there's a couple of things. We work with channels. So relationship channel is something that I
Mhm.
noticed. The pain went away when you were in relationship with people or with something you love. So that's something that I take note of. But I put that in the back of my mind because at the beginning, what I'm more interested in is the pain itself, and you feel it. So in process work, what channel are you feeling it? Are you seeing it? Are you hearing it? Are you moving it? Is it relationship channel? Is it the world channel? So I now know what channel it is. You're feeling it. And
Mhm.
so I would now amplify that in the feeling. But interestingly, you already very much moved into what I call the symptom maker. You were already talking like as though I'm not going away. You were already talking as though you were the symptom maker, the thing making the symptom, which is
Yeah.
often where this work goes. And then we unfold that further, and often the symptom maker has something to give you, basically, as in very simple terms. Unfolded further, there's something about the symptom maker that you might need a little bit more of in your life, in your everyday life. So, but it's a process. So, like I've just spoken about it and it made it very intellectual. When you're actually unfolding it, it just as you read out in that intro, goes to the most amazing, unexpected places, and you go, really, we started here and this is where we've ended up. I cannot, would never have predicted this. So it's a little hard just to talk about conceptually, much easier to have the experience of it. But that's a little bit of the overview of how one would then work with a body symptom. And I mean, there's some other steps, like I skipped the step of just checking what you're doing about it medically, and also what else is going on in your life, because
Mhm.
often you know, when we get to when we've unfolded the symptom maker, there might be something that the symptom maker might be an insight or something that relates back to then what you're doing in your everyday life. So there's a few steps I skipped because we're not doing a proper session, but there's some of the main elements of working with a body symptom. Yeah.
Just amazing. Just so, it's fascinating.
It
It's
is.
just
It is.
fascinating. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Heike, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I'm almost starting to be happy that I have the pain. Falling in love with the pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
let's move on from the pain. I wanted to ask you about, I think last time I saw you was in Perth, right? Western Australia.
I think it
I
could
was
be. I
there
think
for
it's
a
somewhere
workshop and
exotic. Yeah.
you came to visit me.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
two things that will lead to where you are now. One is, as I read in the short version of the bio,
Mhm.
you have lived in many places in your
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
not, and as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, not always you moved straight away. I mean, you settled. I mean, you could experience the places you lived in, or some of them, right?
Mhm. Well and truly.
And so they were all actually. I guess that your mother tongue was German.
No, my mother tongue's actually English. I mean, I grew up with
English.
German, English, Swahili, and French, a little bit of, but I consider my mother tongue to be English. Pretty much all my schooling was in English. I'm much more like I speak German really well and I'd say fluently, but
Yeah.
English is my mother tongue.
Did you say Swahili?
I did. That's East Africa, Tanzania. That's the language there, Swahili.
Because I lived in Kenya and we spoke
Ah,
Swahili as well. Yeah.
when
So
were you in
here
Kenya? Not that.
when
Hmm.
or where?
When?
What did you from 86 to 92?
Ah, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I go back to the question. So the fact that you touched a few cultures and a few languages and a few countries, continents, I mean, a few places, how do you see it actually in the way that you live your life now or in the making of Heike?
Hmm. I think I feel it's created like an openness because a lot of the moving was when I was a child. So I got to Australia when I was 14 and I've traveled a lot since then. But I guess a lot of the moving between the countries that you mentioned, Africa, Papua New Guinea, Germany, and England, was as a child. And so I feel like it's created like an openness because I've seen all these different cultures and I can see that there's no like one way of being. Um, but yeah, probably. And other than that, I forgot what your question was.
Actually, you just, it's okay. You reminded me of another of the next question. Not reminded me. You created the next question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you answer when you're asked? Because I'm asked this question a lot. How do you answer when you ask? So, okay, Heike, where is home?
Yes, you would relate to this. Well, you know, or the same question, where are you from? I go, you mean, yeah. So where is home? Well, at one level, and especially because I'm on the ocean, home is very much inside me. And yes, there's more I can share about that. That was one of my first learnings when I was on the water. I'll say a little now. I thought, I actually don't like traveling very much because believe it or not, I think 'cause I've traveled so much and also for work. I was traveling so much. I remember there was one year where the longest I slept in one bed was 6 nights for the whole year. And that wasn't even my own bed. That was actually on a boat. So for work, before I was a psychotherapist, I worked as a management consultant and I was traveling all the time. So actually, I don't like traveling, which makes the fact that I'm traveling on a boat a little ironic. But I thought what would happen is that because I was in the boat because I'd have like a home, that I would be fine. But what I've noticed is actually my connection is with the land. And so as I keep moving, different places on the boat, I'm having to keep constantly reconnecting with the land that I'm on. And then the boat spins. So sometimes it's like, sometimes I wake up on the boat with the same feeling as I had when I was traveling all the time. I'd wake up and go, where am I? Because I haven't connected with the land as much yet. So it's funny, I started by answering the question by saying home is in me, and it's true, but I guess it depends what level we're talking at. So for sure, my deepest home is in me, and I'm well in me. And other than that, where's home? I would say these days I would answer Tyagarah near Byron Bay, and certainly Australia. Yeah, that's home. At a more consensus reality level, to go back to what we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Heike, this is actually a topic which I find common between so many people now. I think there was a part of me that felt ashamed and confused to tell people about how I feel, because they might think that something is not completely complete in me, or something is missing. And the idea or the fact or the feeling of having a yearning or longing to a place, just recently I discovered within me, I'm not saying that this is for everyone, I discovered that actually I'm yearning something which I don't know even. I had a podcast, and I think it was two podcasts ago. I think it was called, I forgot the name. It had actually a German name. It's a yearning to something which is not there. And I remember reading and exploring, thinking, yeah, you go?
Heimsicht? Or something like that? No, doesn't matter.
No.
Sehnsucht?
I can have a look.
Oh, I didn't mean to distract.
I know I have a complete
mental blank.
Wait. No. I have an excuse not to remember, because I'm 75 now. I just turned 75.
Oh, wow.
So I don't even need to make the effort to remember everything. Not words. Then I can't find it now.
Sehnsucht? No.
Yes. Sehnsucht. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So you were saying about Sehnsucht?
And I understood, but you know the words, the word better than me, I'm sure, that this is a longing to something which you don't know. You don't even know what you're longing for. Like this scratch in your heart that is there the whole time, and it's okay. And I think a little bit like the longing that Rumi was writing about.
Right.
Is this what you know about Sehnsucht?
I think this is where, because I didn't grow up in Germany, I probably don't have the nuance of it. I know one thing I love about the German language is it has such beautiful words with these very delicate sort of meanings.
Yeah.
Sehnsucht, that the way you describe it, that feels right to me. Sehnsucht, yeah.
So I'll go back to what I wanted to ask you. So towards the end, you said that actually you do feel that home is Tyagarah. And so Tyagarah. So you don't have this little scratch in your heart that says, no, I want a real home. Where's home? I don't know where home is. This longing to something. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just curious, because you lived in so many places.
Yeah. I think these days I don't have that. Not when I think about being in Tyagarah, in my home there, I don't, of all the different feelings that we have as humans, that's not a big one for me at the moment. Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we can now openly and happily arrive to where you are now.
Okay.
On the water, in the boat, wherever you want to start.
Okay.
We'll be happy to hear.
I think I'd like to start by sharing a little or maybe a lot about how it is I ended up being on the water on a boat.
Yeah.
And the dream started, well, probably 3 or 4 years ago now, when I was sailing in Harvey Bay with a really good friend of mine, David, for a week or two, and we were sailing with whales. And his partner, Ninka, was there. And out of the blue, he said, it'd be lovely to have a boat and and just live on a boat for a couple of years. And that sort of actually, so it was his dream. That's where the dream started. And a year passed, and I had a beautiful house that I sold. And all of a sudden, I had enough money to be able to buy a boat. And so I went, okay, well, do we still want to do this? And he said yes. And Ninka said yes. And so the three of us were going to um, live on a catamaran for a year or two or more. We didn't know how long. And we thought we'd probably start by heading down to Tasmania, and then we might sail sail east into the South Pacific. And we were planning on this, and I got so we're now talking about last year, 2023. I spent a lot of the year getting everything ready, getting my land ready, renting it out and making sure it's going to be taken care of. All the things you have to do when you're going to leave for a year or two. And about a month or two before I was going to buy the boat, David and Inka both said actually they didn't want to do it anymore. They're beautiful musicians, and had this longing to actually. They hadn't been together for very long, were creating incredibly beautiful music together, and they had this longing to actually follow that passion rather than living on a boat. And so I was like, oh, that was like a big blow on many levels. One level, because I loved them both and wanted to spend that time with them. And on another level, I've sailed most of my life, but I sailed little boats. And these bigger boats, like this 40-foot catamaran that I'm on now, I'd been sailing with David for the last 12 years, only for a week or two, but he was always the skipper and I was the first mate. And so the idea was he'd be the skipper of this boat that we were all going to be on, and I'd be the first mate, and I'd learn slowly but surely to become the skipper. So with him not being on the boat, it's like, well, now what? I'm not ready to be a skipper. But I turned my life around, and so I was like really thrown. And I was on the boat when they finally said no, we can't come. And I was on a boat. There's 10 of us in total, and we did a sharing. We do sharings quite often. So David was the skipper, and I just shared really openly with the whole group how devastated I was that they had said no. And sort of at the end of it, I'm not quite sure how it happened, but there was something about the way if it was going to. So I was devastated that they weren't coming, and I didn't know what to do. Was I going to go ahead? I'd already turned my life around. Wasn't I going to go ahead? And somehow in that sharing, something came through about needing to rely on allies. If I was going to do it, I was going to need to rely on allies, and that was the end of the sharing. And then the next day, so this is all in Harvey Bay, the whales came by, as they always do. The whales are amazing. And 2 whales came by. So I should say a bit more about the whales. Normally, when you're on a boat in Harvey Bay at the right time of the year, they will just come to you and they just really want to relate. It's like it's so obvious that they want to connect with us just as much as we want to connect with them. And they'll sail with us for hours at a time under the boat, around the boat, spy hop, go on their tummy, show their hearts. Just incredible. They're most amazing, graceful and gracious and really generous. And these 2 whales came up to the boat, and I could tell they were very interested in relating. They were particularly related, and I slipped into the water with them. And I'll tell you more in a sec. Can you just stop for a sec? So I'm in the water with these 2 whales, and they're moving very, very slowly. They're probably about 3 meters below the water, and I've got a mask on. Actually, I've just got underpants. I just threw my clothes off, underpants, a mask, and flippers. And I'm like a star above them because they're moving so slowly. I'm just looking down at them. The water's really clear. They're just below me. And one of them, the one on the left, just kept looking up at me. And I could feel the connection. And they'd move very slowly. And when they move, they just move like a little part of their body and it propels them through the water. So it was fascinating being this close to them for this long. And then all of a sudden, sorry, my phone's just going, let me just turn that off. And I can't turn it off because it's actually providing the hotspot. But then all of a sudden, I don't know how this happened. There's a whale, like literally one of them, the one that was looking at me right in front of me. Like I couldn't, if I put my hand out, I would have been able to just touch her. So her eye, the whales have got the biggest eyes. Her eye was looking like right at me. And I'm like, and so I'm trying to drop into myself so I can connect with myself and connect with her. The water is a little bit rough. So I'm sort of trying to keep myself above the water, not running into her. For some reason, I was being sucked into her. So I was like paddling backwards, trying to stay connected with her, dropping in with her. And I don't know how long I held that for. And then I couldn't hold it anymore. And I started moving towards her. And as I moved towards her, she started moving sideways. And it got big. And she moved her pectoral fin up so I could slide under that. And then I'm sliding along her body, not touching her, just really close. And I get to her tail and I'm going, and she moves her tail out of the way. And I'm going, I know you have very good spatial awareness, which they do, but please remember any mismove on your part and I'm a goner. But she moved her tail out of the way. And so now I'm on the water, but away from her a little. There's me here. She's in front of me. And the boat is a long way away because there was a current and I've been pushed away from the boat. And I look up at the boat and I go, I've got to get back to the boat. And I moved to swim towards the boat. And as I moved to the left, I thought she moved to the left. And I thought, no, you're just making it up. And I just went swimming towards the boat. And within about 10 seconds, she was swimming under me and her mate was swimming beside me. And for the 5, 6, 7 minutes it took me to swim back to the boat, they accompanied me all the way. When I got to the boat, Sahara, the same thing happened again. I let go of the boat. She comes up right in front of me. This time I make myself into a little ball because I could control myself a bit better in terms of how the water was moving me. And the same thing, this time I'm paddling backwards so I don't run into her. I was able to hold it for longer and so drop in a bit more deeply with her. And then I lost it again. I get pushed onto her. She moves her pectoral fin out of the way. She moves her tail out of the way. Again, there's me, there's her. The boat's now a lot further away. And I went, okay, I have to get back to the boat. And so I went left. This time she definitely went left. I went right. She definitely went right. And I just said, sweetheart, I've got to get back. You're in your element. I'm not in my element. I'm getting cold. The boat's a long way away. I've just got to get back. So I sort of barged past her and she made way. And then again, this time it took a little longer. It was probably about 20 seconds. She was under me, mate beside me, and they swam all the way. This time, probably 10 minutes back to the boat. And when I got back to the boat, I just crawled up on the boat and I was just in tears. It's all I could do. Yeah. So it was just amazing. Such an incredible experience that I actually love speaking about because it gets me back in touch with that connection with her, which is totally beyond words. And just the blessing of having an interaction like that with such beautiful beings. And I took that as a sign that I should buy a boat. Did. But I don't want to tell, yeah, it was just amazing. I don't know, yeah, how that was for you to hear that story.
It's just no word actually can describe it, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's such.
Do you think, I know in this particular case, she definitely, both of them, made a connection with you. I mean, it wasn't just by chance, it was an intended connection. You might even not go to these places, but I'll ask anyway. Do you think there is a role of the appearance of whales and people have encounters of this kind or other kind with whales? I know that in shamanic thinking, whales are the one that carry the knowledge of the planet. This is what they say about them. I remember I learned it in shamanism that they keep the records of the planet. So wherever you want to look at it, do you think it's just an animal that wants to play or connect with person, or there's something even more? Not that we need more.
I think there's more. I feel there's more. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something that happens when I'm around whales, and I think when anyone's around whales, and especially if you look into a whale's eye, or more if they look into your eyes, they look like way past you. They're looking like back here somewhere. They're like really,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think somehow the connection between whales and humans is important in our human evolution. Like I think humans at the moment are going through this huge evolution, and I think whales are a big part of that. How I can't say. I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
noticed over the last 12 years of sailing with them that the encounters are getting just more and more intimate, like more and more intimate every year. Like this year when I was with them on my boat, like in the past when we've been with them, we'd work out where they were going, how fast they were going, we'd match their speed and their direction, and then they'd notice us and they'd come and play with us. This year I just had to be in their general vicinity, and I felt like they would just come and mob us, and they spent forever with us, and they were like more than ever just showing how much they wanted to be with us. And like I remember one time I had 8 whales, which was really unusual to have that many, with the boat, just following the boat. And we'd been with them, I don't know, for an hour and a half. And after a while, you get tired with that. It's such a deep connection. And I said, we need to go and anchor. So turn the boat 90 degrees to go and anchor. And 8 whales came 90 degrees with us. Like normally they would just like leave us, but they all just came with us and went, okay, I guess we're still going to be connecting with you because yeah. And so yeah, so this year also I had 3 whales touch a boat. In the last 12 years, it's only ever happened once that a whale has touched a boat. This year, they just kept getting closer and closer. I feel like they want to get on the boat with us. There's definitely something happening. I don't know, I can't put into words, or I don't know what it is. And the other thing that I noticed, because this year I was with them for 3 months. Normally I'm just with them for a week or two, but this year I was able to be, on my boat for 3 months with them. And I noticed the more people on the boat, the more they seem to want to react. So tourist boats would come out and they've got like 20, 30, 40 people. They always come to those boats and put on this incredible show. They did the same with us, but I could tell when we had 6 people on the boat, like when Lane was on the boat, versus when there was just 2 people on the boat. It's somehow like I feel like they feel our hearts or our beings or something, and the more of us on the boat, the more interested they seem to be. So I don't know what it is, Sahara. And yes, I feel like yes,
Yeah.
it's something very special, and somehow they do hold
Fascinating.
the key for us. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it with us. It's really, we don't always, or don't very often we hear encounters like this, and it's something that happened to you, not that you had from another person. Do you feel, that's going to be quite a funny question, but I'll ask it. Do you feel, I'm always looking, you talked about connection, and I'm also always looking for connections. Even when they're not there, I'm still looking for them. And I sometimes think that if I did not find a connection, it only means that I did not find it. It doesn't mean that there's no connection. There is a connection, but I didn't find. I'm not going to give up the thought of connection. And you actually mentioned in before we started, you mentioned your actually how connection is important to you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
After
Connection with
this long introduction,
yeah.
is this your experience on the boat, on the water, with the whales, is connected to your work as a process worker, as a psychoanalyst, psychologist, psychotherapist?
I think, actually, it's funny. I keep saying I think, but I want to change that because
Okay, go on, change it.
about the fact that I'm moving, I just very recently moving from making my mind like the central compass to my feeling body and my inner wisdom. I've just had that shift, but yet my habit is sort of, I was thinking, anyway, so I think now, whatever. I,
A bit closer to the mic, please.
okay, I don't know, it's still here. I don't know
It's in
why.
here. Okay. We'll manage. I don't want anyone to miss a word of what you're saying. It's so important.
I don't know why it's got quieter. Is it better
Okay.
again?
No, it's again, it's okay now. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? This is a new mic, and the reason why I put it on is because when I use the internal mic, it fades in and out. I wonder whether the
Okay.
mic is doing the same thing, in which case I can switch to my headset where that doesn't happen. So tell me again if it fades out, and I can put my
Okay.
headset in, and we can
No
use
problem.
the other microphone, which doesn't do that.
Do you know what? Let me just put it on pause and we'll try the other one.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just pause it for a
Okay.
minute.
All right.
So I'll just recap my question in case I forgot it as well. I was wondering about how you feel about the connection between whales, water, boat, and your work as a process worker.
Well, that's a deep question.
Do you say whale or whale?
I think that's where we got to. I was talking about thinking and feeling. So I said it again, I think. I guess I do think. I can't in the moment make a direct connection with the things you've said. However, as a process worker, that's like my practice. So as a process worker, I'm following process all the time, including my process. So that's where there's a link. I'm following my process of wanting to be on a boat, my process of unfolding things that are happening, the awareness that I have. So there's a link that way. Is there a link otherwise? Well, certainly, when I'm with a whale, when everything I do in my life is process work. So yes, but not necessarily specifically whales or water or boats. It's anything. It just happens that right now my process is enamored with whales, waters, other sea life, and the stars and the tides and the moon and the boat. And I'm following my process. I don't think I can draw more of a link than that in the connection.
No, that's very, very clear. It's a beautiful answer. And do you find that there's a slowing down in the way you live now? There's a slowing down. You mentioned spaciousness, and I'm wondering if a part of the spaciousness is a slowing down in the tempo of doing the activities or doing life, and also it's time and space. When I talk about slowing down.
There's so many ways I could answer that. I'm going to start by saying certainly in Harvey Bay, I'm going to say something else. One of the reasons why I wanted to buy a boat is because of exactly that slowing down, because I wanted to slow down more, wanted more of that spaciousness. And my experience in Harvey Bay with the whales, with David for the 12 years, I'd go out every year for a year or two with him, was that space and time just changes. We call it the Bay of Dreams up there, and it really is like space and time changes. And I was yearning for a lot more of that and wanting to know, well, if I do that, like if I do that for more than 2 weeks, if I do that for a year, where will that take me? Because it was with the whales in Harvey Bay where I really started most viscerally feeling that connection with what I call above and below and nature and myself and community that you spoke about when you introduced me. That's where I first really connected with that. And so, I mean, there's many reasons why I wanted to live on a boat. And another one is this wanting to have more of this connection and see where it takes me, and then see, I have this feeling that something wants to come up through me as I connect more and more. So that's a big part of the dream. The reality was the first year, there was such a steep learning curve. I was learning to become a skipper, which meant, learning the boat and what she's capable of, learning the weather, learning the tides, passage planning. I was a boat owner for the first time, and a boat is like a house. It's got power and solar and water and bathroom. Like a car, it's got 2 engines, and then there's a sail. So there's so many systems and things that you need to learn to take care of, to use, and all of that in a salty environment. That's not the friendliest environment. So things are always breaking. You always have to take care. So learning to be a skipper, I was learning to be a boat owner and boat carer. Another part of my dream was to share this with dear people in my life, like Lane. And so I was also learning to have people on board who aren't sailors. And that's a whole new learning in itself. So the first year has been a lot of learnings, a lot of learnings. And so I made a promise to myself that if it was all too stressful, that I would stop. And so I was counting, how the stress versus the non-stressful months. And I got to about 8 months and I went, 6 of these months have been actually really stressful and 2 months haven't. And yes, incredible beauty as well. Like some of the places we went to in that time, so remote, so raw, so stunning. The interactions with animals, so swimming with seals, having the albatross around us for an hour at a time. Like incredible, also stunning experiences. But the stress has been really high. And so actually I haven't been able to drop in as much as I had wanted to and slow down in the way that I dreamt I would. Then I got really sick with a kidney infection and I had to drop out. I had no choice. And it took me quite a long time to recover from that. That was in August this year. And I took that, so I just had to find a way to rest. I was still up in Harvey Bay, so it was a little bit easier there. But I made a promise to myself that I would build a lot more rest into my life. And so I would lie down even if I wasn't tired. And then lo and behold, I actually didn't want to get up because I was tired. I just was so disconnected that I wasn't feeling the tiredness anymore. I was just used to pushing all the time. Since then, so the last couple of months, I've actively really slowed down. And I'd say in the last 2 months that warping of time and space is beginning to happen. That with this slowing down, I'm slowing down. I'm much more connected with my body now. And things are beginning to come up through me as I was hoping they would. So I've forgotten your question, except for to say that, yes, there is definitely a slowing down and that allows for spaciousness. And I've got to say it's an enormous privilege. I want to acknowledge what a privilege it is to be able to do that in this day and time. All of what I'm talking about, what a privilege. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for it. And I can only hope that whatever it is I experience and can share by having other people on the boat, and whatever I can share in the world through my experience, and I can feel there might be a book in the making, is going to somehow benefit everyone, or not everyone, but us all as a human race somehow. It is an enormous privilege. And I'm very grateful that I can have this experience right now. And as I said, I can feel things are beginning to come up through me, which we'll see where all of that leads. And I think that's the other reason I was so grateful to be able to speak with you, Zahara, because I can begin to start to articulate some of it, maybe. Yeah.
I love what you're saying, and I definitely, you invite me to, after we talk, to explore some more regarding a few words that you mentioned. You talked about privilege. I mean, you were very humble to say, I know I've got a privilege of doing it. And it reminded me, I mean, the privileges come in quite a few forms. I put in front of me also the desire to slow down and not to try
Desire
to
to
be
slow down.
productive, slow down, and not to be as productive as I used to be, and not to do something as I felt that I need to do. And I mean, okay, the cliche of finding the balance between human being and human doing. And I love doing. But also that they were turning 75 is a privilege, not just the privilege of being old, is the privilege that actually I've got a certificate. I've got a permission to slow down. Nobody can say, oh, she's lazy. No, she's 75 and she's still doing so much. It's okay. I can slow down. I can slow down even more. And in a way, it's connected to pain as well. I know, but I'm not going to cram everything to what you said. And it made me feel, I know that some people today's world don't actually have the privilege or even the opportunity to choose what they want to do. They're just sucked into life, and they are in survival mode. You can't talk about these things. So yes, many of us are privileged. And I feel that if we're not living in a survival mode, or not too much in survival mode, within the little dots that we share in life, there can still be privileges that we can use in order to slow down. And I don't know how it is for you. For me, is really to not take to heart the voice of society, the voice of them, which maybe many people don't even think so, but I hear it in my head. I hear it in my head. And when you say that you want to do more, and I'm jumping, but it's all connected. I'm sure it's connected. You want to go from knowing, you want to go from I think to I feel. And what I discovered is that from I think to I feel, it goes to even a deeper place, which you mentioned. And I call it I know. But there's a bit of a hesitation to say, if I know, who do you think, who does she think she is? She knows who she knows. But there is an inner knowing, and the inner knowing that tells me, no, you're not going to do it. You're going to not doing. And then the bonus comes in what I feel, the spaciousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it leads, but I feel it's connected. I hope you can feel it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I think, here I go again. I make the connection definitely between after getting sick, having slowed down more and more and making that promise to myself and acting on it. Everything, all the subtleties become much more aware. Like it's amazing how much can come to the surface, which otherwise when I was more in the survival mode, which, being on the ocean, there is an element of survival. Mother Nature is powerful. She's loving and she's not always loving. And so there's definitely an element of that's survival and much more sort of primal way of living on the ocean. And still, I can feel as I purposefully slow down, what you're saying is definitely the case. It makes a lot more space for many things, including for my intuition to be clearer, for me to hear the guidance more clearly. These days I feel this is very special to me. It's very deep. I feel like I'm held from below, like held by Mother Earth, and I'm loved unconditionally by above all the time. Like all the time. It's so incredible to me. Like in the last couple of months, I just feel held and loved all the time. And that's happened since I've started slowing down and actively connecting also. But it's always been there, but I've brought my awareness to it a lot more often, to the point now that it's just like right in this second I feel held with a capital H and loved with a capital L. And to move into life going forwards from this place, plus from this place of changing my internal reading compass from my mind to that and my feeling body. I'm really looking forward to this next year on the boat to see how that inner shift is going to show up in my outer adventure. Because the first year was tough. And for a while there, I thought I wasn't going to go again. I thought it's just too much. And then I thought, no, I've done so much work. I put a lot of money into the boat. The boat's in great shape. I've done all this learning. Let's do at least one more year and see whether we can't change the balance from the stress fun balance in the other direction. And so here I am. I'm going to do it for at least another year. And I'm really curious to see how those very recent shifts that I've just shared with you, like they're only a month or two old, and actually some of them just a week or two old, how they're going to show up in this adventure. So maybe in a year we'll talk again and we'll see.
We'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk again. So as we bring you to a close, Heike, is there anything that I haven't asked you or we didn't talk that you would like to say?
No, I think we've covered everything, Zahara. It's been wonderful. I really wanted to share my experience with the whales. It's actually, I will say this. Someone asked me if there was a message the whale was giving you, what was it? And the one message was share this story with many people. And I think maybe that comes back to, your question about, or your insight about them holding some sort of record. And so she just said, share this story with many people. So to be able to share it here is something I really want to do. Thank you. And then also to share a little about my inner journey, my inner adventures that have, well, actually, there is one more thing I will say. Thank you for asking that, Mary, which is there's something about being on the ocean which brings everything to the surface and makes it very clear. So, for example, I've been pushing my whole life. I've known that, but there's something about being here in this setting which just makes it like I have to deal with this. Or a better example is anxiousness. I've been dealing with anxiousness my whole life, and being on the water has just made it super, super clear. I've just had to deal with it. And we haven't, talked about how I've done that, but there is something that clarifying, for want of a better word, about being on the water that just brings all of this to the surface. And I says, please look at this, please deal with this, please learn more about this, please love this, whatever. Yeah. So that would be the other.
I'm hearing from what you're saying. I'm hearing also maybe it's for me, maybe it's my projection. There's a message of the whales of, after all, we are not as lonely as we think we are.
Say that again. I just didn't hear you. After
all, we are not as lonely as we think we are.
Right.
They need, It just crossed my mind.
That's Say a bit more, like just say maybe another sentence or two about what.
The loneliness, which also recently I'm allowing myself to voice to myself. There is also loneliness. I enjoy being by myself. I love my solitude, but there's also sometimes loneliness. It's a part of it. It's not the whole thing. It's a part of it. And saying lonely again, it's like saying when I have pain, it's admitting that something is wrong.
Right.
And realizing now more and more, so many people are feeling the loneliness, some more, some less, but the loneliness is a word. It's okay to use the word loneliness. It's okay. And I think the loneliness comes from not being close to ourselves, not having people around us that can see us. And from the story that you told about the whale, you said, she could see me. She didn't have to tell you what she thinks about you. It's not about this one, but she could see you. So, and what you said about their desire, or they show the signs that they want to be with people, regardless if you have one person on board or more people on board. So that's what I'm saying. It's the loneliness is, after all, we might not be as lonely as we think we are.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Mario, I know we want to end, but you're opening up a whole other
No,
topic. So
no, you can no, they feel free.
I'm
You can
sure.
open another topic. That's
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I felt, um, I guess when I try to conceptualize myself as a soul, these days I feel like I'm both a human being and a spiritual being. I'm fully human and I'm also fully spiritual or divine, and they're combined in inseparable and both happening at the same time. And I think some of what you're saying now about um the loneliness, one way that I can feel less lonely as a human is when I'm more connected with above and below, or maybe with the whales. I think I don't know what I'm trying to say actually. I think what I'm trying to say is I like thinking of myself as a human being and a divine being because I'm also a human being, and I don't like it when um oh, I don't know what I'm saying, Zahara. I think I'm not sure. It's something around honoring our human feelings, including loneliness. And yes, maybe we're not alone. We're not alone. The whales are there. We're not alone. If we believe in something bigger than us, that's there. If we believe that Mother Earth is holding, that's there. And still, the human being at a human level also needs something sometimes, which is another human being, or and human to human connection. So I'm saying yes to that and wanting to honor the experience of being human, and just saying sometimes I'm really lonely, and that means I need to go and say hello to someone, versus that aloneness or solitude that you were speaking about. That was a little bit of a messy something I was trying to
No,
form.
it's not. Actually, it does bring me to a few questions that run in my head, especially recently. I ask myself, it's not a question that needs to be answered even.
Mm-hmm.
What is more painful, to be alone, to feel lonely when I'm with people,
Mm-hmm.
or to feel lonely when I'm alone? And it's
Mm-hmm.
not just a game of words. It's very,
Mm-hmm.
very potent.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, for now, I might change it tomorrow. But for
Mm-hmm.
me now, to be lonely when I'm with people is
Mm-hmm.
much more painful
Yes.
than when I'm lonely when I'm alone. Because most of the time, because of the years that I've been working and the way that I've been, the years that I've been not working, living, and the way I've been living, at some point I will find something actually to switch it. I mean, to turn even not more into myself. And maybe this to feel there's something which is beyond me or
Mm-hmm.
above me or below me, as you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I will just laugh to myself because something funny will go in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I Most of the time I find a way to take myself out of the loneliness, but with other people it's much harder if I feel lonely. And it's about really being seen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's beautiful. Yes, Sahara. Yes, I relate to, I agree. Being in a room and feeling lonely is much harder than being alone and feeling lonely. And yes, I've not made that link. It's about being seen. If you're by
Yeah.
yourself, you can see yourself at the very
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're not being seen, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
And I won't make it sound nice. I can also forget about myself. I can easily forget about me. And then, but yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
really, it's an interesting concept. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said it actually, because it connects to something which is, I feel, very deep in all of us. And when you were talking about, when you were saying about feeling the earth, you said feeling earth behind you, no, under you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Being held by
oh,
Mother
yeah,
Earth. Yeah. Being
being
held
held by Mother Earth.
from below Mother Earth. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
And
so
really letting
beautiful.
go, like really letting go. Like if you, yeah, totally letting go because I'm held and then loved unconditionally by above. Like what can be, it's just amazing being held and loved. So beautiful. I'm so
It
grateful
is.
to be, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that you want people to find you? Or you enjoy now this kind of being away by yourself?
Well, I do have a Facebook page if people would like to just follow my adventures on the ocean. And the best way, it's called Beyond the Bay of Dreams.
Yeah, okay. I'll definitely put in the show notes with the
Yeah,
link.
yeah.
Beyond the Bay of Dreams.
Yeah, I can send you the link. And then if people did want to reach out to me, we can put that in the show notes as well. It's heikehamann@gmail.com.
Definitely will be.
Yeah, I'm not, as I said, I'm not working as a therapist at the moment because I'm wondering, well, it's very hard. Like I want to not, part of what we were talking about with slowing time down and just, or space and time, was not to have too many connections with the land part of the world. And so I've stopped working more or less as a therapist at the
The
moment.
working world.
That's right. While I'm on the water. Yeah. And still people, welcome to reach out to me or to follow either via Facebook or with that email, which,
okay.
for asking,
Heike, this was precious. Such a precious time to spend with you. Thank you
Very
so
good.
much.
You're so welcome, Zahara. So welcome. It's very, very special to spend this time with you. We haven't had a drop in like this for a long, well, we haven't had a drop in like this before, but we haven't had time together for a while. So it's very special. Thank you. Yeah, your face and your smile. And thank you again for inviting me. And I tell you something I do love, and this will help me. I don't want to get inundated either, but I do actually love feedback about things I've shared. It's such a relationship, because especially if I do write a book, I find the relationship between what we've just shared and how it impacts people and is also really important. Like it's not just us. So if people would like to share,
So how do you like them? In what? So people, you could hear what Heike was just saying. She would love to have your feedback. And now the question, the technical thing, how would you like them to send you their comments, the feedback? On your email?
Probably email is the best, yes.
Email, okay. So you will give it to me. When I'll stop the recording, you'll give it to me. And then...
and I'll just spell it out now as well in case people don't go to the show notes. So it's my Heike Hamann, HeikeHamann @gmail.com.
It's just one M?
One M and two N's.
One M and two N's.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost like an M&M. M&N.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Heike. I'll just stop recording now.